Okay, hi everyone. My name is Julian Kwon. I'm the co-founder and CEO of IXSwap. We are a institutional grade real-world asset tokenization platform, and our real focus and value proposition is being the B2B partner for centralized cryptocurrency exchanges and fintech platforms that have tens of millions of users who want to access, invest, buy, sell, trade real-world asset tokens (RWA), but need a licensed, technically enabled venue partner like ourselves. And we've spent over 5 years securing all the necessary licenses to be able to legally and compliantly issue and trade any real-world asset token for any real-world asset investor anywhere in the world. Union Chain for me is probably the most exciting announcement we've made to date. It's a joint venture between 4 regulated cryptocurrency exchanges, SEXs, and IXS, and our sister platform InvestorX. And why this is such an important announcement for the whole industry is the real asset industry started about 5 or 6 years ago, and there's been a lot of iterations around names. There's been a significant shift in quality of assets being issued. There's been a significant growth of investment dollars into the asset class, or if you will. One of the biggest challenges of any market is having distribution, buy side. There's plenty of people that want to sell any type of RWA, treasuries, money market funds, real estate, private equity. But the industry's been quite, has a bottleneck on the distribution. What Union Chain is a new L2 chain powered by ZK, and it focuses on RWA. And the real crux of the value proposition is 25 million KYC users who already exist on the SEXs in Asia. And we have partners including Coins Philippines, Indodax from Indonesia, CoinHacker from Singapore, Coins Thailand as well. They've got this huge user base who want to access RWA. Now, cryptocurrency exchanges are not licensed to sell real asset tokens, which are predominantly securities. So partnering up with IXS and InvestorX gives them a legal and compliant partner to originate and offer on a primary issuance and secondary trading real asset tokens for those 25 million users. This is groundbreaking because the other and that's the strongest distribution network I think that's been created ever in the history of RWA. But the other critical value proposition the SEXs provide is that they offer the fiat to stablecoin on-ramp. So if you're really buying and selling real asset tokens, you need stablecoins or other cryptocurrencies. And that's actually not as easy as it sounds to get your hands on. Through the SEXs, they are the fiat on-ramps. So those millions of users can now start to access these wealth management products, which are real asset tokens, again in a partnership with IXS InvestorX, all stitched together through Union Chain. And Union Chain is the protocol that allows this fragmented liquidity to be brought together in a really healthy, positive way, while the individual businesses still remain as they are. And they're all backed by very serious investors. They are all regulated. They've all collectively spent years and years and years getting these licenses, and it's extremely powerful. So we know that there's other protocols out there that are focusing on RWA. I think, and they exist at Ondo, Mantra, etc. Union Chain brings what no one else has brought yet, which is, all of the legalities and the technical and the asset origination from the RWA side with, the 25 million buy-side buyers. So it's really groundbreaking stuff. In 2021, FTX and Binance and Bitfinex started launching RWA in the form of tokenized stocks. And the problem was they didn't have any licenses, so I had to pull them down. Now it's sort of 2.0. The partners we have at Union Chain are doing it properly, which means legally. They are not allowed to just list RWA tokens on no cryptocurrency exchanges, because with different asset classes, you have different licenses. Stocks, cryptocurrency, commodities, securities, etc. So we've got this amazing synergy where the SEXs are users, are legally compliantly allowed able to access these assets alongside, if you will, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and our vision was always that the TradFi platforms, in this example, Robinhood, will come for crypto and digital assets. They've already done that. They've bought Bitstamp. The next evolution is RWA. The CEO of Robinhood's already talking about this publicly. And then you also have the DeFi side coming. So the DeFi side includes cryptocurrency exchanges and DeFi wallets. But the cryptocurrency exchanges already have crypto. They have stable coin. They have meme coins and Bitcoin. The next evolution for them was always going to be RWA. Because RWA is an infinite universe. All of the real estate, all of the treasuries, all the money market funds, everything in the real world, it's in the trillions and trillions, and it grows each day. So these assets, the digital currencies and the cryptocurrencies coming together, real asset tokens, brings this whole blockchain value proposition together. And we positioned our platforms, IXS, at the nexus where it serves both sides. So we take institutional grade real asset tokens and we distribute to millions and millions of users on fintech and sex platforms who, a lot of these users would never have access to these assets before. And through blockchain, through our licensed entities, through our sex partners and our fintech partners, because we also have a partnership with Line, the super app in Japan that has 200 million users. We're the first RWA partner. This brings it all together. And liquidity really has been a challenge for the RWA industry. It's improving now. We've found product market fit with a tokenized treasury, basically because hundreds of billions of dollars of stable coins are looking for yield because there is no yield available in traditional stable coins, being USDT and USDC as the dominant players. So allowing holders of those stable coins to go in and out of yield-bearing instruments, in this example, treasuries, is extremely valuable because they make 0% interest holding a stable coin. So this is, over the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen this massive evolution. We've also seen Larry Fink, BlackRock and Wall Street come on board and say everything will be tokenized and it must be on public chains, which is very important. The RWA industry had many challenges. One of them was that a lot of people were building on their own private chain, so there was no liquidity and you couldn't see what was going on, and it wasn't the real use of blockchain. So what we built at IXS initially was a secondary trading venue, the first AMM DEX model that allowed anyone with an RWA token to start a liquidity pool. It was definitely ahead of its time, and now the time or the industry is catching up. Through that evolution, we built a primary issuance platform, so you could buy when a project first launches, and then you could trade in a secondary trading. And now the evolution of the business and the real power that's coming now is scaling up with tens of millions of users or hundreds of millions of users through these beta partnerships, which are extremely synergistic because we provide everything that you need for an investor to KYC, AML, buy, sell, trade, custody, etc. in a legal compliant way through licenses, which is key. So regulatory compliance is just mandatory when you're dealing with any type of security. So most RWA, real asset tokens, are securities. There are some that are not, maybe some collectibles and whatnot, but anything that's related to investment, yields, returns, equity, they predominantly all fit into the securities bucket. And you need licenses for that. We've known that for many years. We've spent over 5.5 years securing all the necessary licenses to be able to provide what we're providing now. To validate why this is important, because there's an explosion in the RWA industry, we're here to help as many projects launch and find liquidity as possible. So we're a solution for everyone. That's what we wanted to build, key infrastructure that everybody can use. But that aside, the fact that we've been chosen by listed companies, by banks, by regulated crypto exchanges to be that issuance partner and that trading venue validates how important compliance and licensing is. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of new RWA platforms, they're starting up, there's still a lot of confusion in the marketplace. You're not meant to be buying and selling any type of security without a license, and they take many years to get. So we've done, our team, hats off to them, they've done all the hard work, they've put in many, many years. I counted the other day, over 1,800 days, 8 years of securing these licenses. So we can now help the industry grow and help as many projects get off the ground, validated again by these huge businesses that have chosen us, and that's very exciting. And I think that's exciting for IXS. It's exciting for the platform, the use case, the community, the token, everything. It's really just an incredible time that we've worked incredibly hard to get to, but we're very excited by the future. We've come out with many world-first products, liquidity bootstrapping pools, even the IXSwap DEX. How can you legally list a real-world asset security token and create a pool? It looks and feels like Uniswap, but it has securities licenses and custody licenses. That was new. We were the first to build on Base. And Coinbase is one of our investors. We're building towards the 150 million wallets at Coinbase. Coinbase wants everyone to issue all types of tokens on Base. It's their layer 2, and they're one of our investors. So it makes a whole lot of sense. And I think it's now the top 1 or 2 chains for activity. But we're chain agnostic, and we're also looking at we work with BNB, XDC, Polygon, Red Belly's coming down the pipeline. We look at protocols as networks, and networks as, for us, as business circles, users, issuers, assets, investors. We'll build towards anywhere that makes sense to grow our platform to be a leading RWA platform in the space. Probably most exciting, I think, for the community moving forward is that everyone's screaming for growth at breakneck speed. This is the industry that we're in. I think there's a lot of new relationships that we have already announced and that we're developing that will just increase the flow of funds at a high level, increase the TVL, increase the use case and utility for IXS with more people in our ecosystem. So that's probably the most important thing related. We've built a bunch of features and functions that are maybe ahead of their time. We're going to look at relaunching them down the track. It's not a big deal. But we're always looking to see what's going on in the industry, what's happening in other parts of the industry, how can we leverage them, and always trying to find things that are scalable. So you don't spend huge amounts of time or energy working on any product or feature that ends up being defunct or superseded, which is very difficult in this day and age because we're now in the AI age where there's something new and interesting and crazy coming out every day. So we were also amongst many of the firsts that we've done. We developed the first IBF accredited course for tokenization and RWA. So we teach that to banks. I think we've done this with UBS, Credit Suisse, etc. Essentially, a course that was set up to explain the realities, challenges and opportunities for tokenizing real-world assets, protocols, licensing, structures, smart contracts, distribution channels, regulatory hurdles, cross-border discussions, concerns, marketing, joint issuance with other platforms, regulatory landscape around the world, etc., etc., etc. And we now have IXS Academy that's live. Again, we work hard to try to help educate our community around the assets type, the asset class, how platforms work, what you need to look out for. Again, the challenges and opportunities within our space, within our platform, with what else is going on and this is again, it's moving very quickly. So we look at this on a daily, weekly basis, and our own team trying to keep ourselves up to speed on everything that's relevant from assets, new partnerships, what's going on in the world, to technologies and innovations there, to cyber and cyber security enhancements. It's only been 2 days since the Bybit record hack, and heart goes out to them. I think that's a 10-year business, people working probably insanely hard, and still the hackers are ahead of the curve, and state-sponsored actors. There's football fields and office towers of people who wake up every day to attack projects as their business model. It's a difficult one. Only yesterday there was another $50 million hack, I think, out of a neobank in Hong Kong. Security is an issue. The balance of decentralization, building in the space, trying to stay ahead of the curve, trying to adopt new technology innovations, different protocols, bridges, etc., and a lightning pace with everyone running as full speed. We've recently added, I would say, 5 times the cyber security elements to our platform, and I'm not even going to talk too much about them. It just makes it easier for bad actors to attack the platforms and the people. It is very, very serious. It's the number one priority of the business right now. It requires, software, hardware, and there's humans involved the whole way through. So procedures, processes, and looking for the best in class, which again is moving parts. There's been a lot of negativity. So there's been positive comments around how Bybit handled the hack, and I agree with that. And there's been some negative comments, usually by people that have never built anything, that have one wallet, about how could this happen? Again, it's the most sophisticated groups in the world who spend all day social engineering, and it's non-stop. And with AI, the benefits that we might use as a business to improve our efficiency and our quality of product is being used against us from the cyber world. So it's 10x more attacks, if you will, 10x more sophistication. So it's a daily battle. It's never ending. There is no winning formula, but we are as vigilant as we can get, and I'm very excited by the new partners we've brought on. Very sophisticated, both from people, hardware, software, and that'll take us into the next chapter of the business. And everyone's got to stay safe out there. There's an ever-evolving landscape of attackers. It's a highly profitable business. It's one of the best places in the world to steal funds from people and try to disappear. But there is more improved sophistication on the defense side as well. That's dramatically improving because it's a huge business for both sides. So it's a big negative component of the industry that we all have to live with, and that's the bottom line. So everyone's got to do what they can and constantly looking at that on a daily basis. The evolution of RWA in the last 12 to 18 months has gone from lots of different private market assets, whether that is startup tokens or real estate tokens or anything that's not publicly listed, and we've sort of crossed sides now, and we're seeing this big uplift in publicly traded assets, which would be something like a tokenized treasury, tokenized stock. It's a lot easier to value these assets because they're publicly traded. The private market assets does have challenges still remain around instantaneous or frequent valuation. Because when you think about it, startups typically valued on the last round. If the last round was 2 years ago, maybe the valuations changed. Well, valuation changed. Who determines that? It's difficult. Market forces is the best way to do that if you had an RWA token trading. On the flip side, a tokenized treasury is easy to find out what the value of that is at any point in time in the day, and there's a lot of people doing it, and there's a lot of different types. There's a lot of ways to do that. So we've gone full circle. Wall Street was anti-crypto, anti-RWA. Now they're fully embracing it. We're super pro-crypto. We're super pro-RWA. We want to save money with blockchain efficiencies. We want to make money with new distribution channels. And, it is what it is. That's where the money is. So we circle back in RWA, back to the epicenters of capital markets. They exist because that's where the capital is, strongest and most powerful. Those markets exist because that's where the protections for investors is the strongest. And that's why they remain, hundreds of years later, the capital markets of the world: New York, Hong Kong, Singapore, London. And what's exciting for us, at least, is that the institutions are interested in making money, and it doesn't get much more complicated than that. What we built and the DNA of IXS was, how do we make RWA as easily accessible to everyone, as easy as buying cryptocurrency, wherever they're from. And so most people who aren't in developed markets cannot access these treasuries and money markets and tokenized stocks. They're not allowed. There's no access. They don't have bank accounts. They don't have US dollars. They're never going to be approved. So if you live in Singapore, it's easy to buy a stock, relatively easy. You might have 5 different places you could buy it on or more. If you're in Indonesia, Vietnam, or Philippines, or Thailand, it might be impossible. And it is impossible for many people. So through our platform at IXS, we were the first that I'm aware of globally to get a license that allowed retail investors to access with a KYC function, but with a photo ID, you don't have to prove any net worth. So to be able to pass running through our checks and balances, to be able to buy an RWA with 1 USDT, this is groundbreaking, right? Someone in Indonesia can come and buy $1 of tokenized treasury issued from Wall Street, if you will, legally, compliantly, all in stable coins, never in fiat, through our platform. This is game changing. Then you add all the other assets, tokenized stocks, Teslas, etc., all these money market private equity funds, venture funds. Most of those assets have been reserved for developed market citizens or high net worth accredited investors that have a lot of money and they've built these wealth management products. So we're completely disrupting, the whole distribution landscape for these assets. 25 million users through our Union Chain partnership, 200 million users through Line, and more in the pipeline. Our position of having the strongest network in Asia for any RWA asset distribution is one of the strongest value propositions of this platform, right? For getting what you can do on the platforms. So, I think ultimately the bridge that we connect to the emerging market investors to the Wall Street assets, and we don't just have retail investors, we have accredited, we have institutions. This is very exciting. Using the technology for transparency, for speed, for efficiencies, connecting with the right partner platforms to try to deliver the ultimate UX UI, and again, assets that people could never ever buy before. That's incredible. I'm really, really proud of the platform and the team that we've been able to achieve that. And now we've laid those foundations. It's time for us to scale. One of the strongest the areas that we've been focusing a lot of our work on is to be able to produce the right type of technology wrapped with the right licenses, with the right licenses and the right assets to be the partner of choice for regulated crypto exchanges and fintech platforms. That's been a massive focus for us. This is a B2B, this is a much bigger game. It's, let's call it, much heavier lifting, probably a lot longer, slower time to develop, a lot more questions, a lot more people involved, compliance, business teams on both sides, or in Union Chains, it's six business teams coming together. But that then puts us way out in front. And again, we're here to help all these RWA assets and help as many platforms as possible. And I think we've proven over the years that we early into markets, we execute and deliver. We have all the same challenges that any startup has, especially in the industry that we're in, with all the bad actors. But we're very excited, and I think that innovation in itself, because innovation just isn't technology, I don't think. Innovation, it's like if a Vietnamese, Indonesian, a Brazilian retail investor can buy the highest quality type, highest quality in terms of asset quality through RWA tokenization with $1. I think that's the most insane innovation in financial markets. It's at least parallel with how incredible cryptocurrency is and what it can do for the unbanked and many other participants in the marketplace. So yeah, I think ultimately we'll continue to build. We don't like to release any information about new products and features till they come out, but that's certainly all about the streamlining of this process and developing a very strong pipeline of assets to continue to develop the strongest RWA distribution network, and seeing what evolves. I've been saying this for many years, that the RWA, well, that's one question. Andy, I'll talk about the real value proposition of RWA. It's not on the list, but I'll go here. So RWA, in our perspective, has like 5 major value propositions. Then there's probably more. The first one is the tokenization. Why tokenize anything? It's on blockchain, it's transparent, it's immutable, it's digital, etc. So that's really the 101, blockchain versus paper. So that's easy. We knew that many years ago. The second value proposition is and let's just pick on a startup, right? A startup share. So typically you invest in a startup, well, most of them fail, unfortunately, but that's the risk. The ones that succeed, people are often holding the shares for many years, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, all right? Because it's illiquid, and let's use this as a simple example. With a tokenized startup share versus a paper share, an RWA, you could come to IXS and you could start a liquidity pool. So think about that. Typical investors invest, wait 17, 15, 20 years. It's the same for venture capital funds. Typically wait 15 to 20 years to get out of the fund. Imagine if like next week you could start a liquidity pool. That is game changing, groundbreaking. That's way more than a 10x. That's what you can do with an RWA versus a paper share. The next real value proposition is new investment products. So if you think about the evolution of the capital markets, going all the way back to the very first public listing, I think it was like 400 years ago, the first digital trading. So when we used to trade with chalk and stockbrokers yelling and screaming on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, we went digital, and then everyone could trade on their phones, on their laptops, and there was this massive explosion of volume. And then we went and we developed things like ETFs, and there was like a brand new structure that was developed like 1979, $6 million. It was considered a failure at the time. It probably cost them 10 to do the legal fees. Now it's an $8 trillion asset class. Tokenization will bring the next ETF. It will bring a new technology a new technology structure marrying with an existing marketplace. And the ETF example is one of the best to explain that. So we've already done, talking about different products like tokenized funds, tokenized startups, tokenized real estate that are better versions where there might be some liquidity optionality. They might have a dividend and equity component to them. People could sell partially to create some cash flow and hold the rest of them. So new investment products is going to evolve rapidly, and we know this is true. Well, I believe very strongly in this because if you look at the cryptocurrency market, you saw the evolution of new asset classes with the technology. So Bitcoin, 2008, not much going on since till 2013. Ethereum, and 2017, ICO boom. And then we had thousands and tens of thousands of projects. Then we had NFTs, then we had DAOs, then we had security tokens and real world asset tokens. So, and then, we've now got what's going on in AI related to crypto. So the point, the analogy I'm making is this new technology, it is growing every day and people are working on it and the output is building on itself. With RWA, we're going to see the next version of the ETF. We're going to see the next version of the real estate fund, a better version. We're going to see a new and improved version of a venture capital fund. New ways to invest into real estate, not just debt and equity. Maybe it's revenue streams from the advertising on the roof, etc. So the point I'm making, that's like the third value proposition. The fourth value proposition of RWA is actually lending and borrowing activities. So again, we've just started our first project, Clearpool. Those guys are doing a great job over there. If you have a startup or a VC share on a piece of paper, you can't do anything with it. It sits on the shelf, maybe here for 10 or 20 years. If I take a tokenized VC fund, I could take that, and it has to be the right quality and has to be on the right platforms like IXS and their partners. I could take that asset and I could use it, borrow USDT or borrow something else against that asset. So it's usable, it multiplies the use case. Maybe go buy some Bitcoin, whatever. Can't do that with a paper share. No one's going to do that for you. So that's the fourth value proposition. Each one of these I kind of classify as almost an entire industry in their own right. And the fifth one, and I'll leave it at there, is these new distribution channels. Right? If you tokenize a VC fund if you issue a VC fund share in the paper world, you run around and you have hundreds of discussions and thousands of coffees, and hopefully you're successful, you raise money, and it takes a year or two. Then people hold their shares for a very long time. So there are some secondaries markets, but most people are stuck. With a tokenized VC share on our platform, you can now distribute to 200 million people. That's just phenomenal, right? And it's the evolution now of this TradFi coming for crypto, digital asset RWA, DeFi coming for RWA. You're seeing this all the platforms are converging to add these assets to their platform so they can make more money, offer more products to their users, offer a balanced portfolio, some treasury, some yield products, some private credit, private debt against your crazy meme coins or your Bitcoin, whatever you're doing. So it's essentially just massive pools of users coming from existing platforms, legitimate platforms that want to sell their customers more products in a legal compliant way. And that's how we tie all this together. But the point that I was trying to make is that there's like 5 different major use case industries, assets for RWA that most people haven't really thought too much about, and they're still stuck on the tokenized VC is better than a paper VC just because it's blockchain. You start to unravel and peel off those layers. That's why, I think, as one example, Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, biggest asset manager in the world, just went full tilt on RWA last year, and then so now everyone follows suit. No one wants to be first. We want to be first, but no one else wants to be first. Everyone wants to be second, right? And now all of Wall Street's jumping on board, and America's come to the table, and it's absolutely fascinating. Let me just talk about America now. The seismic shift in the change in administration in the US in the last couple of months is a complete seismic shift. It's hard to really explain how important it is. The TLDR, the super short version, is America went from we're going to kill this digital asset industry to we want to own it, right? That was the very simple version. And what that means is that everything that has been happening in the last 4 to 6 years, which has been an uphill battle, massive confusion, the SEC chasing all these people around the world, America mainly, lack of definition between the difference between crypto, RWA, stablecoins, banks operate, choke point 2.0, all the banks trying to shut down blockchain companies' bank accounts, and the list goes on. All that stops. All that has stopped. You now have a majority of elected officials in the last administration are pro-blockchain. You have an understanding from, a bipartisan understanding that, and this comes from sources very dialed in, who lobby in Washington from the blockchain industry, that I know, a bipartisan understanding that US dollar stablecoin growth increases US dollar dominance, which is what the US government wants. So we should let it roll and let it flow. And it's true. The US dollar stablecoins are nearly 100% of the stablecoin market today. I think we'll see more innovations around the world. But it's much easier for non-US people to get their hands on a US dollar token than it is to get a real US dollar. And as part of the digital economy and the digital asset economy, if stablecoins and US dollars are the dominant force by almost 100%, then all the assets are priced in USD, which gives them more use case, and the circle evolves. That's just on the stablecoin front. So on the RWA and crypto, like every single day, if you do dig deeper, there's positive movements coming from the regulators in different departments, just creating clarity. None of the founders in blockchain in America, most of them, at least the ones I know, they're good people, they worked hard, they just wanted clarity so they could build their business. Clarity was not given, actually the opposite was given, which was mad chaos, confusion. The SEC just dropped its lawsuit against Coinbase, Robinhood just had its lawsuit dropped, I think, with no charges. Here we go, right? It's game on. So the US has all the capital, has by far and away the most capital. Is the home of treasuries and money market funds and stocks and S&P stocks, and so it's just a game-changing situation for everyone in the industry. And you're going to have, and then you have all of Wall Street turning up. So there might be some downside that this goes a little bit, and it certainly does. It takes a lot of the focus on sort of building out into the rest of the world, taking it back to Wall Street, but that's the reality, right? And again, we've seen product market fit in our industry for the assets coming out of that area. And, it's a nice, healthy balance in a portfolio construction to have some US treasuries next to your Bitcoin, if you will, or your altcoins, maybe a better example. So anyway, this US shift in their direction, in their attitude, is enormous. We're going to see US VCs come back into the market. We're going to see a lot more flow of capital, a lot more brains and innovation being supported versus opposed. And I think it's just a massive +1 for the entire industry. And a lot of other regulators around the world who might have been on the fence or even negative will probably turn and follow suit because the US is very pro. So that's it. I'm not going to comment politically on anything else outside of the fact that it's very good for us as an industry. It's very good for crypto, digital assets, for RWAs. It's very beneficial. It's great for IXS. We're moving into the US. It's such an important market. I'm very, very excited. It's very, very. We've always been a global platform. We've always serviced real-world asset issuers globally and real-world asset investors from anywhere in the world. The reality is that developing markets are very difficult to do due diligence on assets. Just the structures are weaker. They're just not as robust. It's harder to trust. The government institutions are not as strong. So we will remain focused on developed market assets, predominantly from the US, but not exclusively. Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, England, all great markets, lots of assets. But our distribution is the most robust in Asia, but we're looking to expand that now as well, with new partnerships that will be coming down the pipeline. I'm not going to say which regions. I don't want to get anyone too excited or any company backlash, but we're looking for, and we're speaking to lots of inbound inquiries from crypto exchanges and fintechs that again see the opportunity in RWA, excited by RWA, want to do it properly. There's a lot of people selling illegal RWA. I'm not pointing any fingers. That's just reality in a new industry, but they want to do it properly. So they seek a partner like us. So we're going to expand our distribution partners in other regions of the world, 100%. And we're going to ramp up our activities in the US, 100%. I mean, the vision for the future for us hasn't changed one bit. I think we saw the tokenization of all assets. It makes no sense to use paper if you can use tokens. Email validates what I just said. We just don't need paper. It's not as useful. It's not as multi-dimensional. It's harder to track. It's more work. It's more cost. Yeah. So the point I was trying to make is that the vision for us 6 years ago was we're going to tokenize the world. We're going to provide the key infrastructure that everybody needs to do it legally and compliantly. We're going to get licenses. We have to. We're going to make the user experience as easy as possible. And we're going to try and find the best assets in the world and distribute them to everybody with a focus on Asia. That's the vision. I think we're probably going to now say it's global. We want to focus because we're B2B, because we have technology and platforms, we can plug into anyone anywhere in the world. So we're not restricted by any means. So we're looking at probably everywhere but Europe, I would say, for now. Europe's regulations are extremely complex and complicated, but we'll never rule anything out. We see great movements in the UAE. We see a lot of movement in South America, and we see a huge movement in North America now. So our vision will be to continue to build to be a leading RWA platform, to make our assets as highest quality as possible, and to develop the most exciting and interesting use cases for IXS, utility token of the platform. And that might be a good way to and bring billions of users into the network. We're now at a couple 100 million, we want to bring billions. That's what we're going to do. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about the IXS token utility, why we have a token in the first place, and what I think is exciting. So IXS is essentially the BNB token of that chain, the Uni token for Uniswap. It's a platform token. With marketplaces and exchanges, I've always felt that utility token makes the most sense because you can build in real utility. We actually would have preferred to launch our token just recently as the industry and the platform started to scale up, but we actually publicly launched a couple of years ago because some of our investors wanted to do it. We wanted to do the right thing by our investors so they could create some liquidity. So we're just scratching the surface, I think, on what utility can be used. Incentives for using it throughout the platform for both sides, issuers and investors. we have the very first, I'll talk about innovation, we had the very first program on planet Earth, which is stake IXS tokens get rewarded in real asset equity tokens. That's never happened before. So it's basically RWA airdrops for people that are buying and holding IXS. Incredible stuff. Really exciting for that to roll out. It's never been done before, as a lot of stuff we haven't. So a lot of people have heard that and sort of scratched their head and said, well, you know, what are you talking about? That's what we're talking about. The old version, previous iterations of staking rewards was always stake ABC token, get ABC token in reward. Try and lock up the liquidity and increase price appreciation. That's great when market's going up. But when market's going down, everyone sells, and it's a house of cards. So using RWA, our platform or others, in the staking concept is phenomenally, adds huge value. It's a whole new dimension. And we're going to start to see this in new partnerships we're creating with staking platforms, where they want RWA assets because they're the real world. They're stable. They're more stable. Then there's lots of different types. Yield products, private credit, private debt, real estate, startups, venture capital funds, it's IP rights, all kinds of things. So that's very exciting. I think ultimately we're just going to keep building and releasing new use cases for IXS. It's core to our community, and we have a great community. So thanks for everyone who's listening in and supporting the project. Some of our guys have been with us since day one. That's nearly 3.5 years ago. So big love to those guys. But ultimately just scratching the surface. We've got lending and borrowing coming down the pipeline. We've got these new, massive B2B partnership integrations where we can reward the users from those platforms to come across and buy and sell more RWA. So we're just scratching the surface, and we're very excited because I think we actually have real utility. I know a lot of people don't really care about that in the space. They just want to buy and sell tokens and don't really care. But we're building a real big business, and I think a really big business. So we've been focused on making sure that there is incentive and utility, and that's what they're called, right? Utility tokens. All right. Community engagement. Let's talk a bit about that. So we'd like to welcome any new members to our community. I think we have a fantastic community. 24/7, 7 days a week. You can find support, you can find help, you can find someone to talk to, you can find someone to send a meme to that wants to laugh. I want to give a shout out to our moderators, Undine, Alexa and team. Killing it over there, just doing such a great job. Running a token 24 hours a day is hard work. You must be responsive, you must be educational, you must be driving value, you must be delivering news frequently on a daily basis, and I think our marketing team does a fantastic job, so I want to thank them as well. But ultimately, communities drive projects, right? There must be a common belief, a denominator. I think that for us is simply the tokenization of all assets, and we're a key infrastructure play to allow that, to enable that for everyone. I think that very simple DNA is believed by 10,000s of people in our networks. Telegram community is super strong, X is super strong. They're probably our main two channels that we focus on. And we try to engage, right? It's an educational, it's a journey here. RWA is a brand new industry. It requires investment, knowledge, education, understanding, challenges, opportunities, technical and business sense, and just industry-wide trying to understand what's going on. So we're constantly, almost weekly, doing AMAs, active in the chats. I think if you come and join our community, you'll see that there's a lot of intelligent people there. There's other communities out there where I'm not really sure who they are or what they do, but a lot of it doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. I don't have time to really get involved in that, but we have people asking us some very sophisticated questions and really making sure we're on point. I'm sure half the stuff that I've said into this podcast will be, double checked and triple checked, and we're happy to do that. We want to be super transparent, and I hope that that's one thing that we consistently provide is transparency and value. We want to add value. So look, that's our community. IXS is super strong. We'd love everyone to join. We think there's a lot of value to add there, just for your own personal benefit. It's not just about the token. It's about learning, becoming a better investor now and tomorrow and the day after. RWA is evolving. It's new assets, it's new structures, it's new technologies, it's new ways to do things, it's new functions and features. It's a journey. So come join us. We'll try to help you as much as we can and be as active as possible. You should be as active as possible as a community member so you get the most benefit. I like to say that technology, those that invest in the new technologies, typically, a lot of them suffer a lot of pain and arrows in the back because they're out in front, but a lot of them get the asymmetric return because they learn the most fastest. And that's what we hope that our community does. We want to build the strongest community of RWA investors in the world. And that'll span across many years and that'll span across many assets. But yeah, please come join us. Feedback on Union Chain. Actually, let me touch on integrations with traditional finance. We've already launched some tokenized treasuries, stocks, money market funds in the pipeline right now, gold. The real issuers of these assets are not DeFi projects and protocols, right? Behind a real asset is a real business and typically licensed and typically from someone like Wall Street, right? So what is important from an institutional, traditional finance, trust, relationship scalability is they're not just going to list their assets anywhere. They must know who is buying them at all times, 24/7, 7 days a week. And they're not going to work with groups that aren't doing things properly because their whole business can implode. They can lose their licenses, they can get fined a lot of money, they can get fired from their jobs, and the list goes on. So we check those boxes. We've taken the 5+ years and 1,800 days of hard labor to jump through hoops, provide necessary documentation, capital, people, questions, 10,000 questions, because the regulators in any jurisdiction are trying to protect their citizens, and they protect them by only giving licenses to people that pass the test. So they can be trusted to operate a business that does not cheat or harm in any negative way the citizens of that jurisdiction or investors in general. So we're now being trusted by these institutions as platforms where they can put their assets. Again, it's not just put them up and anyone can buy and it's all great. They have their own reporting, they have their own compliance, they have their own business to run, and they must report back that it's being done properly. And so being chosen by these groups is just a massive validation. The caveat to that is that it takes a long time. It takes a long time to onboard, to develop relationships, to build trust, to pass the tests. But then you're ready to scale up. So I'm not majorly concerned about current volumes on our platform because we've taken the long hard road in the bigger game, and now we're just getting ready to scale up. And with these partners, you might take a year and a half, 6 months, 12 months, a year and a half, 2 years to work this out for everyone to get comfortable. And so it's not an easy task. And again, you want to work with the best institutions in the world, they're not going to work with anyone. But they know in this new world, they've got to work with some people. And if you want to sit around and wait for the rest of these institutions to service, channels, if you will, networks, ecosystems, they've got to come work with some groups like us that are way out in front from an asset quality, distribution, licensing, technology perspective. So it's very exciting. It's just a massive stamp of approval and credibility for all the hard work that the team's been doing. So I wanted to thank my team again, working tirelessly around the clock. This industry will try and kill you because it never stops. But I thank them for all their support and hard work, and I think we've never been more excited by what lies. Tech's all about scalability. Community's about scalability. Blockchain's about scalability. More users, more use case, more buyers, more assets, more TVL, more partners, more B2B. So when I think about our scalability plant, we've secured the necessary licenses. We've built the necessary architecture to be the chosen partner for massive pools of users that are sitting on sexes and fintechs. So the scalability plan for us is very much focused on more of that, providing our current partners with highest quality assets in a trusted manner, in an efficient manner, where everything ticks the boxes and makes sense and it works, and then growing. Right? There's hundreds of sexes, there's thousands of fintechs, there's 7.8 or 9 billion people that we're not connected to yet. So we're on a mission to go and get them and continue to provide what we have been working on for so hard and for so long, that now is being valued by some of the biggest companies in the world on both the TradFi and DeFi side. So we're very happy about that. I think I've covered most of the questions. It's been 55 minutes and I think I'm done. So maybe I'll just do some kind of wrap up. So thanks for joining us today. I hope all of this information, there's a lot to download, works and brings you up to speed. The challenges, the opportunities in the industry, where we sit as the nexus within TradFi and DeFi markets as a cornerstone platform that can help any issuers of RWA tokens, investors as well, any investors from anywhere in the world, to access, to invest, to trade, create liquidity pools, and continue to drive real value and utility for the community and the IXS token. And I wanted to really thank the community. I wanted to thank the team. We're here today in big part from both of those, the team and the community and our investor partners. We've got backing from some of the best companies in the world. Coinbase Ventures is an investor. Spartan, the leading investment advisory firm in blockchain in Asia. UOB Bank Ventures, one of the biggest banks in Asia. We've also got 500 startups out of Silicon Valley that has seeded our company 8-9 years ago. Thank you guys. There's some other great investors, Bax Capital, TBV, and Lucy from Token Bay, Nico from Blue Bay Ventures. All of these people, Taisu Ventures, I wanted to thank the Taisu team. They've been fantastic. There's been so many people that have supported us. Spice VC, the first tokenized VC fund at the time, founded from Carlos from Securitize. Thank you guys. I want to really thank all those people that took and some of our angel investors, Steve and Yanni, the Property Guru founders, and I'm not going to keep going. Just some great people that believed in the vision of what we've built. And also want to thank my partners, my team, my co-founders, Aaron and Alice, incredible co-founders, best that I've worked with, super hardworking, super flexible in this game the whole time. We wouldn't be here without them, and the rest of the team. So, it's the journey, the mission that we've been on that's really exciting, because it's all coming together. And there's been many days where the industry or the platform or the people thought that it might all be over or too soon or not happening. And now I think we can all see that it's 100% game on, and there's just rapid growth and scalability in our pipeline. And I also want to thank our new partners who have chosen us as their RWA partner and the asset issuers. And I'm very, very excited to welcome any new people here to our community. And thanks again. Goodbye.